Hey everybody, Toby Mathis here with Anderson Business Advisors. Today we are tackling a burning question. Does retiring early, say at 55, impact your lifespan compared to retiring at 65 years or later? The scientific answer isn't simple and it might surprise you. Let's break down what the latest science actually says, because this story is a whole lot more nuanced than people actually think. Let's start with a study that got everybody's attention back in 2016. It was published by the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health and later reported by the Harvard Business Review. And here's a quote. Early retirement may be a risk factor for mortality, and prolonged working may provide survival benefits among U.S. adults. What the study did is it looked at nearly 3,000 Americans who had retired between 1992 and 2010. And it found that among healthy retirees, every additional year of work was associated with an 11% lower risk of death. I'm not kidding. 11% per year. So if you want to live, just keep working, right? Well, not so fast. So one of the researchers, Chen-Kai Wu, told Harvard Business Review, you'd have a long way to go to prove causation. I'm not even sure that you could. To prove causation, the gold standard would be to do a randomized control trial, and it's probably unethical and unrealistic to randomly assign people different retirement ages. So even the author of the study is saying, hold on, time out, don't jump to conclusions. Now fast forward to 2020. A research team in the Netherlands finds something totally different. And here's their early retirement. This is a quote. Early retirement was not associated with a higher risk of mortality. In fact, they found that on-time retirement at the typical age was associated with a higher risk of mortality versus people who kept working into their 70s and 80s. Whoa, like what's going on here? And the reason is because of something called the healthy worker effect. People who are still working at 65 tend to be healthier than those who left earlier. So what about, and I'll just use an example. If you had to leave work at 50 for health reasons, you just pulled yourself out of that pool, and your mortality risk may be high because you have health issues. Whereas if you're 65 or 70 and you're still working, 75 and you're still working, you just kind of pre-selected. I have good health because I'm able to keep work. So what about the big picture? An analysis by Marche Polytechnic University in Italy looked at 85 different peer-reviewed studies, and here's what they found. 28% said retirement improves your health, so 28%, right around a third, right? 60% said it was no significant effect, and only 12% said retirement worsens your health. So the evidence is mixed, right? But it's mostly neutral or positive. And then there was another study that came out last year in Nature. I think it was more an emphasis on how you retire. It's not just about leaving your job, it's about staying pain-free, mentally healthy, and socially connected. And that's backed up by a review by Cambridge University Press, which also said retirement has some negative implications for health, particularly in physically functioning morbidity and mortality. But again, it's not universal. What does it tell us? It's simple. If you retire early because of burnout or illness, you may see worse outcomes. But if you retire early with intention and having good health and a plan for purpose, then it's probably going to benefit you and you could thrive. Now let's get to what's really important to most people. The quality of life in retirement, and this is where we get the term health span. I'm going to write these up because we have two things that we look at. Lifespan and health span. And we have to understand the difference. Your lifespan is how long you live, right? It's the average time, or if you get your mortality table out and say, all right, I'm 54, how long am I going to live? Okay, I'm going to have 30 more years. That's your lifespan. But what is your health span? That is the amount of time you live with chronic illness or disability. And for the average American, it's 12.4 years. So if your life expectancy is 78.4 years, then and the health span is 12.4, then 68 or 66 would be the age where you would not have any chronic issues or disability. So do you want to wait till 66 to retire? Probably not, right? Because it makes waiting till 65 to retire seem like a bad idea. But these are some of the advantages. And if you retire at 65, depending on whether you're a man or woman, you may have a longer life expectancy. It might be 17 or 20 years. So it seems like, oh my gosh, it's like a moving target, right? You should just keep these things in mind. That health span is a thing. The longer you live, there is a period of time where you may be living with chronic illness. And even though it seems like, hey, it still seems to make sense to do things that you want to do and love sooner than later. And to be somebody who's working to 65 and beyond doing something they love is not toiling on work that they hate. So there's a lesson here, right? Don't just plan for money. Plan for how you're going to spend your time, even your job, and who you'll spend it with, and what will keep you mentally and physically active. Or should you just retire early or wait? The answer is more like, don't do something you hate until you're 65, because you might have wasted really good time. Retire early, but find something that fulfills you would probably be the secret. So what do you think? I'm interested in your comments because the data is all over the place, right? It seems to have some consensus on this idea that you got to have some sort of purpose, and that people that work longer, stay in the workforce, that there's some health benefits to it. And it might be but just because they are the healthy ones that are able to keep working. But I almost think like if you're doing something that you love, you're not really working. I think there's some truth to that. But I'm interested in what you think. So please leave your comments below. Seriously. Are you going to retire early and perhaps you want to fire your crappy boss and do something you love, but maybe it doesn't pay as well? Would you do that? But, put it down in the comments, and whatever you do, you've got to consider your health, your finances, and your goals. And I just leave this with you. Create your own fate. Don't retire into nothing. Retire into life you've designed. Actually have some intention. Over and over again, these studies show that people that just kind of go off into the void have negative outcomes, but people that are deliberately trying to retire to do things and have purpose have long, fulfilling lives. If this is helpful, hit like and subscribe and share your retirement plans in the comments, and I'd love to hear your strategy. This is Toby Mathis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.